Now, AFRICOM has confirmed on Tuesday that the military supplies have reached Nigeria security agencies in Abuja. The shipment backs ongoing efforts against terrorist and extremist groups. Last November, National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu led a delegation to Washington, securing U.S. promises of stronger intelligence sharing, defense gear, and technical support. In those talks, Nigeria rejected genocide claims and cautioned against framing the crisis in religious terms. Both sides agreed to form a joint working group to coordinate action. Washington also pledged humanitarian aid and early warning support for the Middle Belt, while Nigeria reaffirmed its commitment to protecting civilians across affected communities. A Department of State Services has presented 2 more witnesses in the trial of the suspected attackers of St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, Ondo State. At the resumed hearing in Abuja, the prosecution called witnesses codenamed SSB and SSC and submitted fresh exhibits accepted by the court. One witness recounted that the attack happened during Pentecost Sunday when the church was full. He recognized the second defendant who was firing with another assailant and identified the fourth defendant carrying a bag believed to hold explosives. Another witness said she only realized what was happening when a woman beside her was struck. She ran toward the choir area and was injured in her left leg by an explosion, and later learned casualty figures from an obituary publication. After hearing both testimonies, Justice Emeka Nwite adjourned the case to January 14, 2026 for continuation.
But for now, we do not have anything less than 10 witnesses. 10 more witnesses? No. We had fielded 3. We have at least 7. Tomorrow, we are fielding 2 witnesses. This case is very important to the federal government of Nigeria. You recall that when it happened, the entire security agency swung into action. And eventually, through a strenuous and very thorough and forensic investigation, the DSS burst the bubble of the syndicate.
Nothing linking my clients.
I'm now being joined by our correspondent, Joshua Imarayi, who's been following this story. Hello, Joshua.
Good afternoon.
How was your day in court? Well, I know that usually that question goes to those who are entering the dock, but how was your day in court?
Well, today was some sort of unusual. Yeah. When I mean unusual, I need testimonies and the statement of the witnesses, gory images. The witnesses told the court how they experienced the attack, how the attackers came, how the assailants burnt down some things, used explosive, the kind of weapons these attackers brought. The witnesses told the court all of this, and the court also heard from one lady the harrowing ordeal that she suffered, quite dissatisfactory, because in the process of trying to save herself, she got injured badly on the foot. And till date, that lady is still working with an iron rod in her leg. So that is the tale of so many people who experienced that attack on that day, June 5th, 2022. It was not a tale to remember at all.
So there are those who will be wondering, how is it that the DSS just has 2 more witnesses? I mean, one would expect that they'll be having a lot more witnesses, and this case would be like an open and closed case. Why do you think is it being stalled, or is there something that's being pursued?
One thing I know is that the case is not being stalled, and the DSS has 8 more witnesses to bring to testify in court. And of course, you know that this case started late last year. And the DSS actually told the court that they needed an accelerated trial to bring forth their witnesses, their evidences, so they can be done with this entire case, because it has taken nothing less than almost 3 years now, if I'm not mistaken. 2022 to 2026 is more than 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So they are saying that they want an accelerated trial, and the court has granted that prayers.
So, but this is not it's not last year that the DSS asked for accelerated trial.
It was last year, late last
year. Late last year. Now, there are many other cases like this that are of those who've been arrested. I mean, insurgents or terrorists who had cost Nigeria many lives. So, were there any indications that the DSS will bring out some more what do you call them, suspects?
Yes, because late last year also, the DSS came out with a catalog of cases they were prosecuting, so many of them, and they brought Nigerians up to speed that this particular case, this is where we are, and not leaving out our case. They brought the case to the attention of Nigerians, and they told Nigerians that this is where we are currently in this case. We are currently bringing witnesses, but we are ensuring that anyone who is found culpable of these crimes will not go unpunished. That is the resonating statement from the DSS. And the DSS boss seems sort of channeling all his energy towards that direction, because more and more times we are seeing that they are bringing more suspects to court, more persons are being arraigned, and more people are taking pleas and the likes.
Okay, but we've not really heard much about those funding them. What we've heard, or what I mean, the people that are on trial mostly are those who are active participants, but we've not heard about the funders or those supporting them. Any word in that direction? Because many have been fingered, and the DS itself has talked about some people who have been identified as sponsors of terror in the country, and they're going to be dealt with. Any word on that one?
You know, most of these things has to do with what the DSS has in evidence. What do they have? It is not, the court is a court of record, and as a court of record, they deal with facts. And the court will not rely on just mere statement. What you can prove is what the court will hold. So that is it.
All right. Thank you very much, Joshua. I wish
pleasure.
you well as you continue monitoring this case all through.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you
very much.
All right. Now, bandits have killed 5 people in fresh attacks on Otobi community, Otukpo local government area, Benue State. Among the victims is Igbabe Ochi, a former House of Assembly candidate for Otukpo LGA constituency under the PDP in 2019. The assault, which struck around 1 a.m. on Tuesday, came just days after a failed kidnapping attempt at Ekpoma by volunteer guards led by Ocheme Jackson, raising security tension in the area. Local sources said Otobi has been repeatedly targeted by suspected herdsmen, including an April 15, 2025 attack that killed 13 people and another in May that claimed 3 lives. Community leader John Anyebe explained that the attackers entered through the railway station bridge from Ijami and moved toward victims gathered near the transformer junction. For more than a decade, Benue State has lived with repeated violence linked to armed militia and bandit groups, often labeled pastoral conflict. The toll is heavy: over 3,251 people killed and about 2 million displaced. This crisis worsened this week. On Saturday night, gunmen attacked a commercial bus in Otukpo, injuring 3 passengers. This came days after a raid in Kwande, where 5 farmers were killed during harvest. Now, the deadliest moment in June 2025, when the Yelwata massacre claimed over 200 lives in a single night, one of the worst attacks in the state's recent history. Earlier atrocities include the Agatu massacre of 2016 and the New Year's Day attack in 2018, cemented what many now call a new normal of bloodshed. Once known as the food basket of the nation, Benue is seeing farm output fall as farmers abandon their land. With more than 200 villages sacked, residents are still calling for stronger military action to end the violence in the state. Moving from there to Ekpoma, where it has remained the spotlight in recent days following a repeated report of kidnapping, which sparked a wave of protests across the state. While residents insist demonstrations were aimed at drawing attention to worsening insecurity, authorities allege that hoodlums had hijacked the protest, resulting in the vandalization of public and private properties. Now, earlier today, News Central's Amendia Bazwaye was live in Ubiaja, where suspects arrested in connection with the unrest have now been remanded.
All right, I'm here at Ubiaja, of course, in Asan's southeast local government area, very close to the correctional center that is here, and of course, just in the compound where the court is actually situated. Earlier on, we actually spoke with some family members of the suspects who were apprehended and, of course, remanded here at the Ubiaja Correctional Center. I will be talking to one of the family members or persons related to someone who is actually in custody right now. Basically, what is going on is the fact that a lot of them are crying out and complaining that their persons, their family members, as the case may be, were not part of those who were involved in vandalizing properties in different parts of Ekpoma and, of course, other parts of the state. So they are crying out and saying that the state government should do something, relevant authorities as well should do something to ensure that these persons are released. Most of them are actually students. About 52 of them were actually remanded yesterday. And like I said, most of them are students. The atmosphere is quite calm. We were not allowed to actually move towards the correctional center. They actually came out, personnel from the correctional center came out and said we should move away from it. And that's why we're actually here at the court, just directly opposite the correctional center. The presiding judge yesterday actually made mention of the fact that they would be remanded for about 14 days. He adjourned the case until February 26, 2026 for further hearing, also giving the prosecution the opportunity to gather more facts, gather more details, and of course do more investigation before the court will sit again. And of course,
Meanwhile, Edo State Governor Monday Okpebolo has again distanced students of Ambrose Ali University Ekpoma from the recent unrest in the town, insisting the violence was not organized by the student body. The governor made the clarification during a meeting with leaders of the Student Union government as concerns persist over arrests linked to the disturbance. Representing Governor Okpebolo, the Edo State Commissioner for Education, Padi Yamu, assured that any genuine student arrested in the course of restoring order would be identified and released without delay. Referring the position of the student body, the president of the Ambrose Ali Student Union government, Osadebam Bamen Ehizoge, described attempts to link the unrest to students as unfortunate and misleading.
According to nobody, no go around 6 o'clock. At the afternoon, around 11, now so person shout come my house. So they say they don't carry them for house inside house. So they don't carry them. My man can't fly. I can't say, na kidnapper be waiting. He said they don't know who can carry them. Later now I can't hear say, they say na police. I can't find waiting. I want to reach. I don't feel rich. Now, therefore yesterday, my daughter can't go Benue. She can't go meet her. Yesterday we did Benue. Therefore yesterday, every time they can't carry the con here. Now make me come here this morning. I can't see them.
The protest was not a student-oriented protest because there is no protest that will involve students in Ekpoma, and I won't be aware of it. So students were not the one that protested, that damaged a lot of activities. It was hijacked by miscreants and hoodlums. So we are some Ambrose Ali University students. We are being taught both in character and in learning. So we are not being taught to be violent.
When you are going for a peaceful protest, you carry your placard, you send the message across to the government, you comport yourself properly. You even write to the law enforcement agents, intimating them of your plan so that they can be, law and order. And those that want to go outside, carry out any operation outside the confines of the law, will be able to be well corrected, as it were, by the security agencies. But that didn't happen. There was no letter written to the security agencies. This morning, His Excellency is a man that we all love. He has said that anybody identified, as a bona fide student of the Ambrose Ali University, we should liaise with the security agencies, and by the grace of God, they will walk home freely.
In the meantime, Ekpoma is back in the news following a major fire outbreak at the police officer's wife's stores, leaving traders counting heavy losses. Billions of naira worth of goods were destroyed as the inferno razed more than 25 shops at the market. Confirming the incident, the Edo State Police Public Relations Officer said the fire broke out shortly after electricity was restored to the area by the Benue Electricity Distribution Company. According to the police, a spark from one of the shops ignited the blaze, which rapidly spread to adjoining stores. Officers working with members of the public were able to contain and extinguish the fire before it spread further. Affected traders, however, lamented the absence of fire service personnel at the early stage of the incident, and have appealed to the Edo State government for assistance to recover from their losses. We'll take a moment and we'll be back for more stories. Do stay with us. Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, this is the 6th edition, and a look at the top stories. U.S. has delivered military supplies to Nigerian security agencies to bolster security operations in several parts of the country. A fresh bandit attack leaves 5 dead in Benue. Iran faces global outcry as rights group warns that protester faces execution within hours. The African Democratic Congress has warned of fraudulent websites falsely offering party membership registration. The National Policy Secretary Bolaji Abdullahi clarified that no official public online registration link has been launched. Last week, the party inaugurated a 20-member committee to overhaul its membership base. The team includes prominent figures like Aisha Yusufu, Kashim Imam, and Gbadebo Rhodes Viber. Officials emphasized that the legitimate registration platform is still under development, while insisting that the party will never request payment, BVNs, or PVC details through unofficial social media links or WhatsApp. The party urged members of the public to ignore suspicious links and wait for formal announcements. The ADC says it is actively tracking these fake accounts to protect its integrity and public data. Well, we have the spokesperson of the African Democratic Congress in the studio, Mr. Bolaji Abdullahi, who was a former Minister of Youth and Development and also former Minister of Sports under the Goodluck Jonathan administration. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, man.
I'm sure you're very happy that Nigeria is doing well in Morocco right now, the Super Eagles.
Yeah, I'm quite excited and really optimistic.
I know it's not what you came here for, but what do you think will happen tomorrow? Nigeria over
I'm
Morocco?
Confident. You see, it's when I remember 2013 when I led the team to South Africa. 2013, the last time we won it. No one gave us a chance against Cote d'Ivoire, but we won.
Okay.
So this time around as well, people are thinking, oh, home advantage, but I'm confident that Super Eagles will win tomorrow.
Okay. But just before we bring on Mr. Abdullahi, let's look at what's going on in the African Democratic Congress. A lot of people are concerned that a viable alternative that they say they are may not be what it is. But hey, Nigeria's political scene has shifted sharply, with ADC now standing, as I say, main home of a united opposition ahead of 2027. The party has brought together major figures like Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, and Nasir El-Rufai, forming a strong third force. This push is backed by a new leadership lineup. Former Senate President David Mark as National Chairman, Rauf Aregbesola as National Secretary, and party founder Chief Ralph Nwosu as Chair of the Board of Trustees, with leaders such as Aminu Tambuwal and Eyine Abaribe joining in. The ADC has grown beyond a single party into a broad reform-minded coalition. But there are other concerns. Progress hasn't come without trouble. Some members are in court seeking redress, and the party is quietly dealing with serious legal challenges. In Abuja, suit 1328/2025 is attempting to remove David Mark on constitutional grounds, while former Deputy Chairman Nafiu Bala Gombe is fighting a rival claim for control. On top of that, former lawmakers have filed a case arguing that the ADC should be deregistered for failing to meet constitutional benchmarks. From leadership battles in the capital to a breakdown at the state level in Kebbi, the ADC's rapid rise is now being tested by legal landmines that could affect its 2027 ambitions. Mr. Abdullahi, is there hope for the ADC?
What do you mean?
No, I want us to start from that angle of the landmines before the party. A former deputy national chairman, Nafiu Gombe, is in court asking that this leadership as is now should not be, because the constitution does not allow that. The constitution of the party says that you have to be at least a member of the party for a while before you can be a leader, hold any position. Is that not so?
It is not so, and this individual you mentioned knows very well that it is not so. And I'll give you one example. The presidential candidate of the party in the last election, Dumebika Chukwu, how old was he in the party before he was given tickets to run in as a presidential candidate of that party? Only a few months. Why? Because the constitution of the party was amended. That aspect of the constitution that says you must spend 2 years in the party before you are able to hold a position or you are able to contest election on the platform of the party was amended to accommodate people like Dumebika Chukwu to contest election. Of course, even before we even got it, actually before we even got it. Yeah, that's before the coalition even got it.
Okay.
You know, so and the premise of our coming in was one, the ratification of that amendment by the National Executive Committee of the party on July 30, I think, in Abuja here, in the full presence of INEC officials. 2 decisions were ratified. One, the amendment of the constitution to allow people who have not spent up to 2 years in the party to take executive position. The second element is that if a member of the party, if an officer of the party resigns, he can only be replaced by another officer from his or her geopolitical zone. That was also amended. So it was on the basis of that ratification at the NEC meeting in the presence of INEC that INEC recognized the David Mark-led executive. So you see, people like this who are going around shopping for injunctions are definitely the same people, the agents of the same people that want to ensure that Nigerians don't have options come 2027.
Okay, but just 1 second. When you say ratification by the National Executive Council, is it not true, or is it not part of the Constitution that ratification can only be done by a convention? Has there been a convention?
No. The constitutions, there's no, if you read the constitution of ADC, every single decision that can be taken by the convention can be taken by NEC, pending the next convention. And normally the convention is 4 years. So the party will envisage that you won't keep decisions pending for next 4 years. So every decision that can be taken by the convention can be taken by NEC, right? Pending the next convention. Just like any decision that can be taken by NEC can be taken by the NWC pending the next NEC
meeting.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I said, there's no case here. Without prejudice to what is going on in court, or there's no case here.
No case
and
whatsoever.
They know.
And the former lawmakers that are wanting the party deregistered for not winning, they said did not want the number of seats that they're supposed to, according to them, going by the electoral act.
You see, at least, what does the law say? You must win at least 1 House of Assembly. We won 1 House of Representatives. This guy from Kogi, even though he's expelled from the party now, but at the time of the election, we won 1 House of Representatives. And if you say ignore that, how many senators do we have now? How many House of Representatives do we have now? So you see, these are frivolous, they are groundless claims. And all these things is us to continue to heckle us, to continue to distract us, so that we are not focused on the task that we ought to focus on. But we know better, and that's why we don't bother with that.
But are you not also concerned? I know we're supposed to talking about the membership situation, the online membership thing, but are you guys not concerned that you're carrying too much weight? I mean, you have almost all the big wigs who are not in the APC with the ADC right now. ADC, rhyme skill. Are you not concerned that when you approach the elections during the primaries, there's going to be chaos in your party? Because who would step down for the other?
We don't see any chaos, and you see chaos because you assume that this issue can only be resolved by somebody stepping down for another. Not necessarily so. Of course, the best case scenario for any political party is to be able to generate, engineer a consensus where people can say, okay, I agree to play this role other than this role. But when you are not able to engineer that consensus, the easy way out is to organize a free, fair, credible, and transparent primaries. And like we have repeatedly told ourselves in ADC leadership, if we cannot guarantee a truly democratic internal democracy, then we have no business complaining about INEC. That was the first thing we told ourselves, that every single individual who will wish to contest election on the platform of ADC, we want that individual to be instinctively confident that the process will be free, fair, and transparent.
That having done their homework, they can walk in there and
they can walk in and contest and let the best emerge. And whoever emerges, the party will back. You know, and like I said in another space yesterday or so, we are lucky to have someone, you know, the caliber of and moral stature of His Excellency David Mark as the chairman leading the party at this time. You know, because he's a man of authority. When I say authority, I mean moral authority and moral credential that everybody believes in, that when he says this is the way it must go, and that's the way it's going to go.
You know, okay, let's come back to this matter of the membership situation. You're reaching out, practically every other party. I mean, the ruling party is doing e-registration and asking for certain credentials. And now you're saying that you didn't put out any link. Is it that you're not interested in e-registration?
No, that's not so. If you recall, few hours after we joined the coalition in July last year, the website of the party actually crashed because of the upsurge of people trying to register online. Then we stopped it and re-fortified the website.
Okay, can you just hold your thought? We'll go on a quick break. We'll come back. We'll pick up from the website crashing and what's going to look like. Do stay with us. In a moment, we'll be back. Welcome back. We still have the spokesperson and former Minister of Youth and former Minister of Sport, Mr. Bolaji Abdullahi of the All African Democratic Congress. Don't shoot me, yes. No. We still have him in the studio.
I want to bring out my gloves. How dare you?
Okay, so you were talking about a website crashing.
Yeah.
You had a surge of people seeking information, so your website crashed, and you're working on that.
Yes, yeah. So when His Excellency Peter Obi joined in December, the last day of December, so many people who were with him also came on, and that created another influx. So I think, you know, people who create content and people who do all kind of things saw an opportunity, and they began to. We noticed suspicious links asking people to go to register, taking advantage. So we had to quickly shut it down. And in doing so, we're saying that we're rebuilding our platform and we're going to release it very soon in a way that is safe and secure for everybody who is willing to register. The website was designed before we joined the coalition. The website was designed in a small party, but the kind of pressure on it now is so much that, I mean, I had a meeting with the website people last week, and they tell me that on a single day they get up to 5,000 inquiries. People who want to join the ADC, so the system was not designed for that. So we are trying to rebuild it, and when that happens, of course, the physical registration will go on, you know, and like you said. We realize that as a political party, we have to learn to crawl, walk, jump, and fly at the same time, because time is against us. We don't have time. So we are doing this many things at the same time. Well, we are confident that we'll get there.
Okay. Just before we let you go, I mean, you're now like the main opposition in the country. I mean, the most stable, what? If I may use that.
The only option, actually, the last man standing.
Well, okay, there's still the PDP. There's the other opposition parties. You were a member of the PDP, but now you're in ADC. So let's look at what's your word? What do you think about the state of the nation right now? The level of insecurity in Benue, Kogi, it's...
You know, I'm glad you are asking this question, because it's away from politics. It's about the existential threat that all of us face. Last week in Abuja here, a female lawyer was killed. Then a few days after, another nurse was killed. But the man who is in charge of FCT is busy in rivers fomenting trouble. So this government has a way of abandoning their duty post when it matters most. A few days back, before a few weeks ago, when President Donald Trump issued that threat about, you saw our government went into hyperactivity, announcing this, announcing that for the headlines, withdrawing policemen, and declaring a state of emergency on security. But we said at the time, just mere headline grabbing moves. Because which president will declare a state of emergency or security and abandon the country and go on holiday? I mean, it's almost unthinkable. It's only in Nigeria that it can happen. So we are saying that this government is not, look at government in Katsina. I don't blame the governor in Katsina. They say he's doing deals with bandits because the poor man has been abandoned to his own devices. He's now swapping prisoners with kidnapped victims and doing deals with them. So the whole thing is a mess, and you don't even know. So what we see all the time is motion. We are, as a country, we seem to be getting inured to this, that we are no longer outraged by the calamity that is going on under our very nose. I mean, you just talked about Benue. Okay, 5, 6 people killed. We now find ourselves saying, okay, there are not more than 5 people. How did we get here? How did we get here as a country?
I'm afraid we'll have to leave it at that point in time. Thank you so much, Mr. Bolaji Abdullahi, spokesperson of the African Democratic Congress, former Minister of Youth and former Minister of Sports. Thank you for coming in this evening.
Thank you very much.
We hope we can bring you back again real soon.
I will be happy to be my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Let's go on to Ado Ekiti, where the Federal High Court has nullified the PDP governorship primary that produced Dr. Wale Oluyede. The court ruled that the exercise failed to follow legal and party guidelines. Justice Babs Kwewumi ordered a fresh primary election conducted with INEC. This followed a suit by aspirant Funsho Ayeni challenging the authenticity of a delegates list used previously. The judge held that the missing original list breached the Electoral Act. Consequently, the November 2025 results were declared invalid to ensure transparency and internal party democracy. And the judge held that the missing original list breached the Electoral Act. So we said that earlier on. But let's look at what's going on here. This is talking about elections. That was Ado Ekiti. But when you're discussing election matters, there is no other place that is as important as the Federal Capital Territory that is about to hold its local governments, local council elections sometime in the month of February. The Federal Capital Territory, it comprises about 6 area councils, and they are the Abuja Municipal Council. Key districts there, we have Garki, Wuse, Meitama, Sokoro Central Business District, and Lube. Current chairman is Christopher Zaka Mekalangu. That's the current chairman of AMAC. We also have the Buari Area Council, where you have Buari Town, Kubwa, Dawaki, and Pape. And that's the home of the law school, JAM headquarters, and the Federal Government Girls College. The current chairman is Honorable John Gabaya. Beyond the Buari Area Council, there are 4 other area councils. We have the Gwagwalada Area Council, Key District, Gwagwalada Town, Zuba, and Paiko. Institutions hosted there at the University of Abuja and the University of Abuja Teaching Hostel. The current chairman is Abubakar Jibrin Giri. There are 3 other area councils in the FCT Kuje Area Council, Kuje Town, Rubochi, and Galway. Current chairman is Honorable Abdullahi Suleiman Sabo. That's where you have the Kuje Correctional Facility is hosted in that area as well. We have the Kwali Area Council, Kwali Town, Yangoji, and Sheda. The current chairman is Danladi Chia. And then there is the one last one, Abaji Area Council, the key districts, Abaji Town, Yaba, and Gawu. And the current chairman is Abubakar Umar Abdullahi. And as we said earlier, the FCT is going to be hosting area council elections. But let's just look at a bit from the Constitution. What are the responsibilities of these area councils? According to Schedule 7, and I'm trying to get there real quick, of the Nigerian Constitution, talks about the responsibilities of that's the 5th schedule, the 7th schedule, the 6th schedule. Yes, almost there. What are the responsibilities of the area councils? What are they supposed to do? And this includes the things like licensing of radio, TV, bicycles, and all of that. That's supposed to be handled by the area council. Oh, I made a mistake there. 4th schedule of the Nigerian Constitution says that the local government area. Now, for the Federal Capital Territory has the area councils equivalent to local government areas. And what are they supposed to do? Collect rates for radio and TV licenses. They're supposed to establish and maintain cemeteries, burial grounds, and homes for the destitute or infirmed. They're supposed to license bicycles, trucks, canoes, wheelbarrows, and carts. They're supposed to be establishing, maintaining, and regulating slaughterhouses, slaughter slabs, markets, motor parks, and public conveniences. Now, the local councils are also supposed to handle construction and maintenance of roads, streets, other public highways, street lights, drains, parks, gardens, open spaces, and such public facilities as may be prescribed from time to time by the House of Assembly. Naming of roads and streets and numbering of houses is supposed to be done by the local area council. Provision on maintenance of public conveniences, sewage, and refuse disposal. They're supposed to do registration of all bets, debts, and marriages. Assessment of privately owned houses or tenements for the purpose of levying such rates as may be prescribed by the House of Assembly. Control and regulation of outdoor advertising and hoarding, movement and keeping of pets of all descriptions, shops and kiosks, restaurants, bakeries, and other places for sale of food to the public, laundries, and licensing, regulation and control of the sale of liquor. These are just a few of some of the responsibilities that are supposed to be handled by the local government area, and for the FCT, they are called area councils. But then, some would ask the question, are they doing what they're supposed to do? Are the area councils doing what the Constitution has said that they're supposed to do? The United States is escalating pressure on Iran tonight. President Donald Trump has announced a 25% tariff on any country doing business with Tehran as rights groups report a deadly crackdown on nationwide protests. Iran denies losing control while Washington says all options remain on the table. Senior international correspondent Afia Hagan has this report.
Basically makes it more fair.
U.S. President Donald Trump has announced sweeping new pressure on Iran, declaring a 25% tariff on any country doing business with Tehran as deadly protests continue across the country. The move comes as human rights groups estimate at least 648 people have been killed in a nationwide crackdown on demonstrations that erupted last week, one of the biggest challenges to Iran's clerical leadership since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Iranian authorities say they have restored order after several nights of mass protests, but rights groups accuse security forces of using live ammunition against demonstrators while obscuring the scale of the violence through an internet blackout now in its 5th day. International outgoing phone calls have partially resumed, but independent verification remains limited. In a social media post, President Trump said the tariffs would take effect immediately, warning that Iran's trading partners would also be hit if they do business with the United States. He did not specify which countries would be affected. Iran's main trading partners include China, Turkey, the United Arab Emirates, and Iraq. The White House says Trump remains willing to use military force if necessary, but insists diplomacy is still the preferred option. Meanwhile, the Norway-based group Iran Human Rights warns the death toll could be far higher, with some estimates above 6,000, and says around 10,000 people have been arrested. Human Rights Watch says security forces have intensified what it calls large-scale killings across the country. Iran's government disputes the claims, saying dozens of security personnel have been killed. State media reports their funerals have turned into pro-government rallies, with 3 days of national mourning declared. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei says the unrest has been defeated, calling the pro-government demonstrations a warning to Washington. But analysts caution it's too soon to predict the fall of Iran's leadership, pointing to the strength of its security forces. Still, voices inside and outside Iran say the pressure is mounting, and the standoff with Washington is entering a dangerous new phase. For News Central, I'm Afia Hagan.
Now, would there be a change in government? Some are asking. Civilian protests have led to change in government between 2011 and date. Over the past 15 years, civilian-led uprisings have reshaped global politics, driven by economic hardship and digital mobilization. These movements demonstrate that collective public will can successfully topple entrenched regimes. And in Tunisia, 2011, the Jasmine Revolution, triggered by a self-immolation of a street vendor, led to the ousting of President Zine Abidine Ben Ali. In Egypt, 2011, inspired by the Tunisian uprising, mass protests in Tahrir Square led to the resignation of President Hosni Mubarak after 18 days. In 2019, Sudan, months of sustained protests beginning in late 2018 culminated in the military removing longtime President Omar al-Bashir from power. In Armenia, 2018, the non-violent Velvet Revolution in Armenia involved mass protests that forced the resignation of the then Prime Minister Zez Sargsyan. Sri Lanka, 2022, a wave of public anger known as the Aragalaya, the struggle over an economic crisis, forced President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to resign. Bangladesh, 2024, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina resigned and fled the country in August 2024 after weeks of deadly student-led Gen Z protests over human rights abuses and more. Nepal, 2025, protests also notably led by young people forced the resignation of Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli in September 2025. Madagascar, 2025, the government was dissolved and the president exiled and impeached in late 2025 after a youth-led uprising fueled by declining living standards. And then let's look at these other things. In the last few years, the U.S. warplanes have done operations across global hotspots from Syria to South America, taking a moment to look back at some of those countries bombed by the U.S. since the 1960s and the lasting impact that has left. We begin in the 1960s and 70s, the Indochina era. In 1961, the U.S. provided air support during the failed Bay of Pigs invasion in Cuba, aimed at toppling Fidel Castro. From 1965 to 1973, the skies over Vietnam saw heavy U.S. bombing during the war, though campaigns like Rolling Thunder and Linebacker 2. Now, between 1969 and 73, Cambodia was secretly bombed under Operation Menu, targeting North Vietnamese and Khmer Rouge forces. In the 80s and 90s, the U.S. turned the focus to Middle East and the Balkans. 87 to 88, U.S. strikes hit Iranian targets during Operation Praying Mantis. 98, Afghanistan was targeted with cruise missiles from the U.S. Embassy bombings after the U.S. Embassy bombings in East Africa. In 1999, U.S. B-2 bombers mistakenly hit the Chinese embassy in Belgrade during the Kosovo conflict. Then came the 2000s through the 2020s, the war on terror era. 2001 to 2021, Afghanistan, under a continuous 20-year U.S. air campaign launched after 9/11. In Yemen, drone strikes began in 2002, continuing through 2025, shifting in recent years to target Houthi rebels. Iraq saw major strikes in 2003 during the invasion and again from 2014 as a fight against ISIS escalated. Between 2004 and 2018, Pakistan was hit by covert drone operations in tribal regions. Somalia faced U.S. airstrikes from 2007 to the present day, targeting al-Shabaab. In 2011, U.S. joined NATO in bombing Libya during the uprising against Muammar Gaddafi. And in Syria, U.S. strikes began in 2014, initially targeting ISIS, then expanding to other militia groups. Most recently, in 2025 and 2026, new operational theaters emerged. In 2025, the U.S. launched precision strikes on Iran, aiming to degrade nuclear and military capabilities. That same year, in a joint effort with Nigeria, U.S. aircraft struck insurgent strongholds in northwest Nigeria. In 2006, U.S. forces carried out targeted airstrikes on military assets in Venezuela following regional tensions and threats to energy infrastructure, and that has caused a lot of reaction from around the world. Now, this timeline reflects how American air power has been used, often controversially, across the globe, shaping geopolitics, security, and public opinion for generations. And now to the latest. Thousands are feared dead in Iran after security forces launched a brutal crackdown on the weeks of anti-government protests. Iranians calling family abroad for the first time in days described widespread death, and destruction. A security official told newsmen that the toll could reach 2,000, including security personnel. Human rights groups report one protester is set to be executed tomorrow, calling the case unprecedentedly fast. State media says protests eased last night, but footage shows unrest continues in multiple locations. Nigeria is stepping up efforts to finance its energy transition with plans to capitalize a $2 billion National Climate Change Fund. President Bola Tinubu said this on Tuesday. Speaking at the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week Summit, President Tinubu said the fund would support projects that cut emissions, boost climate resilience, and expand energy access. He added that Nigeria's climate investment platform aims to mobilize an initial $500 million for climate-resilient infrastructure. The president cited strong investor appetite, noting that recent sovereign and subnational green bonds were heavily oversubscribed. President Tinubu also announced the signing of a comprehensive economic partnership agreement with the United Arab Emirates to deepen trade and investment, including in renewable energy and climate-smart infrastructure. Nigeria is targeting net zero emissions by 2060, while seeking up to $30 billion annually in climate finance. Electricity distribution companies billed customers 255.9 billion naira for power supplied in October 2025, but collected only 210.92 billion naira. That's according to the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission. NERC's latest commercial performance report shows the utilities received electricity worth 303.85 billion from the national grid, but failed to fully convert it into revenue, leaving 48.66 billion naira in unbilled energy. Bidding efficiency fell to 83.99%, while collection efficiency improved to 82.66% on stronger debt recovery. Overall recovery efficiency stood at 82.49%, highlighting persistent liquidity pressures in the power sector. NERC says gaps between allowed tariffs and actual collections continue to strain remittances across the electricity value chain. From there, let's go look at what the preparations are ahead of that semi-final clash tomorrow. The Super Eagles coach Eric Chell has hinted that Nigeria may adjust her approach for Wednesday's AFCON semi-final against host Morocco as fatigue begins to show after an intense campaign. Nigeria has been the tournament's most exciting side, winning all 5 matches, scoring a competition-high 14 goals and overwhelming opponents with high tempo and aggression. However, with the stakes high and the hosts waiting in Rabat, Shell has suggested a more patient and reactive style could be deployed, possibly conceding possession. Midfielder Alex Iwobi insists the team's winning mentality remains unchanged despite the challenge. The semi-final takes place at the Prince Moulay Abdallah Stadium with kickoff set for 9 p.m. Nigerian time as Nigeria chases a place in the final. And that's it on the 6th edition for today, but here's a recap of major stories. We told you that the U.S. had delivered military supplies to the Nigerian security agencies to bolster security operations. We also told that fresh bandit attack has left at least 5 people dead in Benue. And Iran is facing a global outcry as rights groups warn that protesters face execution within hours. Remember, you may send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number showing on your screen. We'd like to hear from you. It's +234 705 500 1212. Do follow us on all social media platforms. We are at News Central TV. Yes, that's us, at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Able TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. I'm Neota Ebe.